we'll change direction a little bit because we've had a couple of comments around remote threat modeling and
Yeah.
elevation privilege. So it's probably a good time to address that. So traditionally, elevation privilege was a card game.
Mhm.
Even IriusRisk used to have some IriusRisk branded ones with the old logo on it.
Yeah.
But obviously, pandemic happened. These days, a lot of people still work remotely, etc. You've really
Yeah.
mentioned the Miro board. Probably be a good idea to just explain what remote-based or hybrid threat modeling with EOP looks like in a post-pandemic remote-first world.
Okay. So there are a number of ways that you can go about it. I mean, with the Miro board is just one of those, and I'll go into other ways that you can do remote threat modeling. But the Miro board that I created a number of areas because when you're threat modeling with element privilege, you'll move from one suit to the next, to the next, to the next. So I created an area of the board, or an area of the in the board for each suit in the game, and in each area you've got in the elevation of privilege cards, there's a card which has all of the threats on for a particular suit. And so I've recreated those within the area of the board, and alongside it I've added stickies. So you've got pink stickies for threats, you've got orange stickies for mitigations that you recommend implementing, and then you've got green stickies for ones that have already been implemented. Now, when you threat modeling, like I said, you should probably or you should be thinking in threats rather than mitigations, because you want to put down everything, including what you've already mitigated. But it's good to also afterwards go around and add the recommendations or the existing mitigations there to the board and to your diagram, so that you can see what you have covered, and you might be able to add additional mitigations to reduce the risk even further, because there may be some residual risk. But the idea is you've got these different areas. You take your architecture diagram, you drop it into each of the play areas, and then you share that board with the other participants. You can use, there's a Croupier web app, which is available on Agile Stationary's website. And you just put in the names of the players, select whether you're playing elevation of privilege, elevation of privilege with privacy, or just using some of the suits from the game, or even if you're using cornucopia. You select which game you're playing and click deal, and it will give you the cards for everybody playing. And you can then distribute those privately to each player if you're the facilitator. And then when you play, everybody knows what their cards are, but don't know what the other player's cards are. And it's more tactile if you've got the cards in your hand. So if you buy your set of cards and you play with those in your hand, it's obviously more tactile. But there's nothing stopping you just using the board or the text for the threats that are on the cards. But it's more fun if you play it like a card game. And that's one way that you can do the remote threat modeling. Another way is if you mentioned hybrid before, and when I think about hybrid, I think about using a tool that does some of the automation. So I mean, obviously, IriusRisk make a tool that does threat modeling automation. Now, I see it as being in addition to doing the manual threat modeling, not as not substituting it. From the point of view of when you're threat modeling an application, there will normally be some proprietary components in there that currently, I mean, I'm not saying in the future that the tools won't be able to do this, but currently the tool might not be able to identify threats that are specific to your proprietary components. For standard components, obviously it can find the low-hanging fruit and help you out so that it gathers those. But then something like IriusRisk, where you've got the diagram in front of you, if you can add the threats to that, or you can see the threats it's found, you're adding additional threats to that. You can build upon it, and you can then add rules to find these threats in your other applications related to your proprietary components. So you're gradually building a library, and you don't have to have, because Miro is a collaboration tool, so everybody can be on the same board at the same time. And with another tool that might not be as easy, but you can just share your screen in Zoom, and you can have the facilitator adding the threats while the players are actually discussing and giving the facilitator the information needed to enrich the threat model.
So would you recommend, when we say hybrid, so you've got automation, you've got elevation of privilege, I guess, as we kind of talked about earlier, trying to do things from different perspectives, from with different inputs and with different techniques is sort of generally quite beneficial, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, having a tool that's going to find you, that's going to assist you in finding a lot of the threats with the standard components is seriously beneficial, because it's going to find stuff that you might not have thought about, or you might not have found doing the manual threat modeling. But at the same time, it's maybe not going to find everything to do with your proprietary. So they're complementary. Yeah.